Oviparous animals, definition and examples. In nature, it is possible to observe several reproductive strategies, and one of them is oviparism. You should know that many animals follow this reproductive strategy, which appeared much earlier in evolutionary history than that followed by viviparous animals. If you want to know what oviparous animals are, what this reproductive strategy is, and some examples of oviparous animals, read on in this article Oviparous Animals, Definition and Examples, because we will take the time to answer all your questions. Definition of oviparous. Oviparous animals are those that lay eggs that hatch once the mother has expelled them from her body. Fertilization can occur externally or internally, but the hatching will always take place outside, never in the mother's womb. Fish, amphibians, reptiles, and birds, and even some mammals, are oviparous. They lay their eggs well protected, where the embryo will develop inside the egg and then hatch. Some animals are ovoviviparous, meaning that they incubate their eggs inside the body instead of in a nest, and the young are born directly into the mother's body. This type of reproduction can be observed in some species of sharks and snakes. Being oviparous is an evolutionary strategy for reproduction. One or more eggs may be produced. Each egg is a gamete made up of the genetic material of the female, egg, and the genetic material of the male, sperm. The sperm must find its way to the egg, either internally, in the female's body, when fertilization is internal, or externally, e.g. in the aquatic environment, when fertilization is external. Once the egg and sperm have come together, the egg is said to have been fertilized, giving birth to an embryo that will develop inside the egg. Many animals produce a large number of fragile eggs. The advantage of this technique is that by producing so many offspring, there is a greater chance that at least one will survive predators. Others produce fewer eggs, but the eggs will be larger and stronger. The advantage of this technique is that it increases the likelihood that the development of the new individual will come to an end and that it can hatch, resulting in a stronger new individual that will have a better chance of escaping from predators once it is born. Being oviparous also has its drawbacks. Unlike viviparous and ovoviviparous animals that develop their young inside the mother's body, oviparous animals must protect or conceal their eggs throughout their development in structures called nests. In general, birds tend to sit on their eggs to keep them warm. In the case of animals that do not actively protect their nests, there is always the possibility that a predator will fall on them and eat them, which is why nest location selection is so important. In the rest of our article Oviparous Animals, Definition and Examples, we will see together what the differences are between oviparous and viviparous. Differences between oviparous and viviparous animals. The main difference between oviparous and viviparous animals is that oviparous animals do not develop inside the mother's body, whereas viviparous animals go through many changes inside their mother. This is why oviparous animals lay eggs from which young individuals will emerge, whereas viviparous animals give birth to live young individuals and do not lay eggs. Birds, reptiles, amphibians, most fish, insects, mollusks, arachnids, and monotremes, mammals with reptilian characteristics, are oviparous animals. The majority of mammals are viviparous animals. So that you have no more doubt about the difference between oviparous and viviparous animals, we will list the characteristics that make it easy to distinguish these two groups of animals. Oviparous. Oviparous animals produce eggs that mature and hatch once they have been expelled from the mother's body. The eggs can be laid fertilized or unfertilized. Fertilization can be external or internal. Embryo development occurs outside the female. The embryo receives nutrients through the egg yolk. There is less chance of survival. Viviparous. Viviparous animals give birth to fully developed young animals. They do not lay eggs. The fertilization of the egg is always internal. The development of the embryo takes place inside the mother. The embryo receives nutrients directly from the mother. The chances of survival are higher. Examples of oviparous animals. There are many types of animals that lay eggs, and here are a few more. Birds. Some birds lay just 1 or 2 fertilized eggs, while others lay a lot. Generally, birds that lay 1 or 2 eggs, such as cranes, do not survive long in the wild. These birds spend a lot of time taking care of their babies to help them survive. On the other hand, birds that lay a lot of eggs, such as the mackerel coot, have a higher survival rate, and they don't need to spend so much time with their young. Amphibians and reptiles. Frogs, newts, and salamanders are all amphibians. They live in and out of the water, but they need them to stay wet and to lay their eggs because these eggs have no shells and would dry out too quickly in the air. Reptiles, such as lizards, crocodiles, turtles, and snakes.